My name is Kaylee and this video will be quite different from what you're used to on my channel. This is a documentary created alongside Anthony Murphy from the Mythical Ireland YouTube channel in collaboration with filmmaker Grant Wakefield. So my passion for ancient history started at a very young age, and most of it actually stemmed from the Neolithic burial tombs in Ireland. When I was about 7 years old, I saw a picture of Newgrange in one of the encyclopedias in my mom's house, and I was fascinated, and that fascination never went away. It's actually one of the reasons I started this channel, looking at burial practices from the Neolithic and the burial tombs and the different kinds of burial tombs that they created was one of the things that I actually did when I started this channel. The ancient inhabitants on the lands that we now know as Ireland created spectacular burial tombs for their dead. At least two of the individuals that were buried in these spectacular tombs were the descendants of Anatolian farmers who spread over Europe around 9,000 years ago, which I thought was pretty amazing. So the creation of these tombs, or these Neolithic burial practices, if you will, spread across this sort of line that goes from Knocknarea in County Sligo in the west to the Boyne Valley tombs in County Meath in the east, and it started at least 6,000 years ago. All four major passage tomb cemeteries of Ireland are situated along this line. These four cemeteries are Carrowmore and Carrowkeel in County Sligo, and Loughcrew and the Bruna Boyne in County Meath. A lot of these tombs are aligned with sunrises on the equinoxes or solstices, and these astronomical alignments are one of the most important features these tombs have. Some of these tombs have Neolithic artwork, and some of these tombs are actually aligned towards other tombs in other cemeteries, or to the location of the moon on certain days of the year. The tombs in these four major Neolithic cemeteries in Ireland are all older than the pyramids of Giza in Egypt. And in this documentary, Anthony is going to take you to Loughcrew Megalithic Cemetery. He will tell you about the burial mounds located there, who are actually known to the locals as cairns. So the cairns at Loughcrew have not been dated or restored, and they are among the oldest unrestored monuments in Ireland, along with the cairns at Carrowkeel in County Sligo. But it is, however, estimated that the cairns here at Loughcrew were created around 3300 BCE, and they are slightly older than Newgrange, Knowth and Dowth in the Bruna Boyne, otherwise known as the Boyne Valley. And of course, all of you are all used to watching me sit here on my chair in my office while you're being told all these things, all this information. But today will be quite different from what you're used to. So this, up until now, was what you're used to. But without further ado, I will show you the work of Anthony and Grant, and they will take you to Loughcrew Megalithic Cemetery.
The landscape of Ireland is littered with prehistoric monuments. Passage tombs in particular are clustered together in various locations. There are almost 300 of them. Some of the best known examples are the great monuments of Bruna Boyne, Newgrange, Knowth and Dowth. There are clusters in County Sligo at Carrowmore and Carrowkeel. One of the most beautiful and outstanding in terms of its view over the landscape are the cairns sited on the hills here at Loughcrew in County Meath. We're at Slieve na Caillia, and this is the highest point in the entire county of Meath. We're right up in the far northwestern corner of the county. We've got views from here across many parts of Ireland. We can see on a clear day all the way south to the Dublin and Wicklow Mountains, to the Slieve Bloom Mountains in the Midlands, to the Cooley and Mourne Mountains in the northwest, and to the mountains of Sligo and Leitrim and Fermanagh in the northwest. you always get the sense that the people who built these monuments wanted to, in a way, detach themselves from the telluric earth and to ascend, as it were, to higher realms. They may also have been making a statement. We and our ancestors have been in this landscape for a long time. They left their marks in an astonishing way, hauling megaliths, huge stones into place, some of them weighing up to 10 tons each. And those remnants have survived more than 5,000 years, so that we can come and walk among them today. The story of Loughcrew, as it is recalled in the local folklore, is that the Cailleach, who was an ancient female deity, was jumping across the landscape from the westernmost hill to the easternmost. She was carrying a mysterious apron full of rocks. As she alighted on each of the peaks in turn, she would tip out some of those stones from her apron. They would fall on the ground and form the cairns. But when she reached the easternmost hill, tragedy struck. She alighted on Patrickstown, but slipped and fell, and the story says that she broke her neck and died. Tradition would have it that the Cailleach is buried in a cairn on the eastern slopes of Patrickstown Hill. The Hag's Chair here at Cairn T is the single most unique, remarkable curbstone of any Irish passage tomb. There's simply nothing else like it anywhere in Ireland. It's a huge block of stone, it's got a very flat face, but the distinctive characteristic of it is it's got a flat top and it looks like a chair. On its surface, there's more recent graffiti etched here in recent centuries, but there's also megalithic art. In the local imagination, people picture the Cailleach actually sitting on the chair, and a unique facet of it is that it points towards the north. It's like she sits here and watches over the dead, barren lands of the winter. Because one thing we do know about the Cailleach from the folklore is that she is considered to have cast her veil upon the landscape, making the vegetation die, making it icy and frosty as the winter comes on, before, of course, the new growth returns in the springtime. I'm here at Cairn T, which is the largest and the best known of all the cairns here at Slieve-na-Collia, which is one of the 4 hills upon which the cairns of Loughcrew are straddled. Now, this monument is probably as old as Newgrange. It may be a little bit older again. And one of the reasons that it's really well known is because up until 2018, just 6 years ago, this gate used to be opened twice a year so that members of the public could witness an extraordinary spectacle. This monument has a passage and chamber that faces towards the east to the place where the rising sun comes up out of the horizon on the spring and autumn equinoxes. And when that happens, the light shines down through the passage here into the chamber and dramatically strikes a stone in the very rear recess of the chamber, which is decorated with emblems, some of which look like they might be solar symbols. I'm very lucky to have been one of the many people who were able to access this monument before it was locked up. Now, sadly, the reason it's locked up is because of potential subsidence. This being a monument that's more than 5,000 years old, it doesn't have the structural integrity that it did back when it was built. Sometime around 2018, it was noticed that there was a crack in a lintel stone right here in the passage, and the decision was made to close the monument off to public access. Now, during the lockdowns in the COVID pandemic, we had something that happened at various Irish monuments, which is a sad reflection on just a few individuals. Here at Loughcrew, a vandal or vandals came up and scratched their names or their initials into some of the stones of these ancient cairns using a piece of stone. That is something that we've seen at other monuments as well. Now, in the years that have passed, there have been calls for conservation works and to reopen the cairn. There are plans for that, but as of this moment in time, sadly, it is still closed. So I'm standing here in the chamber of Cairn New, which is one of the smaller cairns of Slieve na Caillia. Now, as you can see, long ago it lost its roof and much of the cairn was removed. Back in 1980, the Irish-American artist Martin Brennan and his friend Jack Roberts made an extraordinary discovery about the astronomical alignment of this monument. Positioned here over 40 years ago, they were able to witness that when you look along the sightline of the passage, as it were, the rising sun at certain times of the year is directly in alignment with that passage. And you can imagine that when this had a roof and it was an enclosed dark space, that it would have become flooded with the golden light of the dawn. So from the chamber of Cairn New, we have a view of the horizon towards the southeast. Brennan and Roberts discovered specifically that there were special times of the year when the sun was in alignment with this monument. Those times were the beginning of winter and again after the solstice, when the sun was coming back up the horizon at the beginning of spring. Now, those dates in the calendar, which are in early November and early February, correspond with dates that we refer to as the cross-quarter days. They are the halfway points between the equinoxes and the solstices. It seems that the builders of this cairn were pinpointing the orientation of it so that it would mark those halfway points. Even more extraordinary is the fact that coming towards the winter, as the sun was rising further south every day, on the last day that it's able to shine in here, it's rising on the distant horizon over the hill of Tara. So the last day upon which light comes in here is basically the beginning of winter. After the solstice has passed and the sun comes back up the horizon again, the first day upon which sunlight strikes this stone is the day that it's rising over the hill of Tara, announcing the beginning of spring. There's an almost magical quality to this alignment. You can nearly picture a Stone Age astronomer hunkered here in the depths of this monument, looking out through the narrow passage. And as I do so, if I lean my head slightly to my left, I can see on the far distance a little clump of trees that marks the top of the hill of Tara. And on Tara, as it happens, there is a Neolithic passage tomb, just like this one, with a passage pointing in the same direction as this one, which is quite extraordinary. It is a remarkable testament to the builders of this monument that the dying sun of winter would cast a beam just past me here onto the side of this stone, announcing the beginning of winter, and that the next time they saw that light was at the beginning of spring. It's also testament to the curiosity and the ingenuity of those researchers from the 1980s, Brennan and Roberts and their crew, that they rediscovered this prehistoric alignment. I'm here in the chamber of Cairness, which, like Cairnew, is one of the smaller cairns which in recent centuries lost its roof. Cairness is particularly interesting. It is one of just 3 out of 30 cairns at Loughcrew, which has a passage pointing somewhere in the west. The vast majority of cairns have passages that point somewhere to the east. Sitting here back in 1980, Martin Brennan and Jack Roberts noticed that Cairness points towards the setting of the sun at 2 cross-quarter dates. The ones that we call Bealtaine, which would mark the beginning of summer, and after the summer solstice, as the sun is retreating back down the northwestern horizon, Lunasa, which marks the beginning of autumn or the ancient harvest festival. Brennan had a team of researchers, and they were based on different cairns in different locations around Ireland. They sat here in 1980, taking pictures of the sunsets and watching as the sun went up the horizon in the summertime. It has always been said that the cairns of Loughcrew and the cairns in distant County Sligo were not visible one from the other. This is something that intrigued me, and the curiosity got the better of me in recent years. I've been coming here for 25 years, and I've always wondered whether it was just remotely possible that some of the Sligo cairns might be visible from this one, considering that this one points on the distant horizon exactly towards some of the Carrowkeel cairns. In the autumn of 2022, I brought my giant binoculars here. I positioned myself at the end of the passageway, and taking a quick scan of the horizon, I was actually able to see one of those cairns. The sole lone cairn on the top of the mountain in Sligo called Keshcorran was visible in my view. Keshcorran is a cairn that is considered to be part of the wider Carrowkeel complex, and Carrowkeel is very like Loughcrew. They're ancient Neolithic cairns built on the top of a mountain. As the sun drops in late April to the horizon, it falls directly behind Keshcorran. Now, I needed giant binoculars to see it. You could argue that it's not visible to the naked eye, but I often wondered about those long distance alignments, because there's many of them documented across Ireland between these Neolithic monuments. And there's no doubt in my mind that the people who built this cairn were paying some sort of tribute or homage to their ancestors, because the older cairns are in the west and the younger ones are in the east. And what I'm thinking is, as I sit here looking along that sight line, They were pointing it back towards their ancient homeland, the place from where their ancestors came as they moved eastwards across Ireland. One of the sad aspects of the fact that some of the cairns at Loughcrew don't have a roof on them is that they're open to the elements. The effect of that on the megalithic art of Loughcrew can be seen in particular on stones like this in the passage of Cairn S. When we were inside Cairn T, we could see that a lot of the megalithic art was very well preserved because it's in an enclosed space. Here we see a cup hole and a ring around it, another one here, another cup hole with a ring around it, and rayed symbols emerging from it, which could be some sort of a solar symbol. But sadly, this is quite denuded. Long years and possibly even centuries of rainfall and wind and frost have sadly taken their toll on these carvings. When these were picked out over 5,000 years ago, they would have been pristine and very easy to see. Now they're worn and they're just a sad shadow of what they once were. This is Cairn V, one of the smaller cairns at Loughcrew, and the sad disarray of its stones leads to a little bit of confusion as to exactly what way it was designed. However, in recent years, Ken Williams has proposed that that stone marks the rear of the monument or the rear of the chamber, and that we should be looking out along this passage, and that's the axis. Not only that, but he found that the setting sun in the middle of summer, at summer solstice, came down over Cairn T directly in alignment with this passage, and its light would have reached that stone in the far end of the chamber. We have here at Cairn T and the cairns of Loughcrew something very, very special and very precious. We have monuments from the Neolithic, stone monuments, passage tombs, of which there are less than 300 scattered across Ireland. These are a monumental record of a people from the distant past. It behoves us, as the modern people of Ireland, to do our very best to protect these monuments, to make sure that they're going to be around for future generations to enjoy.
As you saw in the documentary, passage tombs in Ireland are being vandalized, and even though it's being reported and they're trying to stop the vandalisms, it's still ongoing and they're ruining ancient heritage that we can never get back. Carvings are being destroyed by graffiti, people are digging inside tombs in hopes to find treasures, and the level of disrespect some people are showing for their ancestors' oldest pieces of tangible history is just mind-blowing to me. In some cases, ancient pieces of art have been defaced because people like Ben and Kirsty thought that everyone should know that they had visited Loughcrew. This, to me personally, is one of the more vile ways to vandalize an ancient site, as you can never repair damage like this with the megalithic artwork in its original state. That megalithic artwork has been destroyed forever. It's despicable behavior to destroy ancient artwork that is now ruined for future generations. These monuments were created by an ancient civilization living on the Irish Isles, and they've been of significant importance throughout the millennia. If the vandalism continues at this current rate, there won't be much to see for future generations, which means a crucial part of Irish history could be erased from the face of the earth, unrecognizable and unrepairable. So I would like to ask you to educate your children, educate your grandchildren about the amazingly rich ancient heritage your country has. And this actually counts for everyone watching my videos from everywhere in the world. Teach your children and grandchildren, your cousins, your sisters, your brothers, your friends, teach them about the importance of the heritage of your country. Spread the word of our amazing ancient past. Let's do our part in the preservation of monuments, as it all seems to start with one thing: respect. And if that one thing is missing, we get vandals disrespecting these structures and their history. And if you do visit this or any other ancient site in Ireland or anywhere else in the world actually, I implore you, please do not climb on the monuments, as they are extremely old and fragile. Not only could you ruin a beautiful piece of history, you could also get seriously hurt. It's also probably good to know that Irish folklore states that it's bad luck to damage or disrespect such tombs, and that doing so could bring about a curse. Which in my mind, you actually deserve if you do disrespect them. I want to thank Anthony Murphy from Mythical Ireland and filmmaker Grant Wakefield for the incredible documentary they made on Loughcrew, and for me to share their work with all of you. I came across Anthony's work about 9.5 years ago, and I saw his documentary The High Man, and I was completely captivated by the incredible work and the story and the myths. I've always been fascinated with Irish history, especially from the Neolithic. Newgrange and Knowth have been my favorite two tombs. I also love the tombs at Carrowkeel and Carrowmore, and of course I love the tombs at Loughcrew, and I hope to one day be able to see these tombs with my own eyes. I'm just very grateful that he wanted to make this video with me and for me to share his work with all of you. And make sure to subscribe to Mythical Ireland. The link is of course in the description down below. And do check out his website, because he sells incredible prints of these ancient Irish megalithic tombs, and I highly recommend them. They're of great quality. And also do check out the work of Grant Wakefield. Link to his website is of course also in the description down below. And if you want to join me in Turkey, as I'm touring Turkey in October, from October 14th until the 25th, click that link in the description down below. I'll make sure that it's very easy to see that that's the Turkey tour. And join me in Turkey while I go and watch Göbekli Tepe with my own eyes, and Karahan Tepe with my own eyes, and walk around Derinkuyu underground city. And I'm going to the Sanliurfa Museum. I'm going to see Hattusa, Haran, Sogmatar. I mean, it's just filled with amazing stuff, and like I said, you can join me. I highly recommend you do. And if you enjoyed watching, then don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to see more of these kind of videos, and click that bell icon if you want to be notified whenever I upload. If you haven't seen my previous videos yet, then click the card in the upper right corner, or click one of the links in the description down below. I would also like to say a massive thank you to my patrons and my channel members. Thank you so much for supporting me. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!